What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something you should go back to the comic book shop for or not. The book that I want to talk about is Phoenix Resurrection number 4, The Return of Jean Grey. So written by Matthew Rosenberg with art by various artists, this is the story that is turning out to be absolutely insane, but you couldn't really expect anything less from the mind of Matthew Rosenberg and the return from death of Jean Grey. So let's dive right in and see how crazy things got.
For the fourth installment of Phoenix Resurrection, something unique happens. I mean, the cover art's great, but when we open things up, we see Jane, after having her kind of confrontation with the Phoenix in her own body. And the last issue, we see her waking up, burned, and then the building that she's in is absolutely destroyed, disheveled, but she doesn't seem to notice. So this is the world that she's experiencing. I mean, even though she's headed out there and she's in the world, there's a lot of different things that are going on that are either okay or not okay. There's this sense of sinister nature that is about there. There's this innocence in this Jean character that's not necessarily present in a lot of other writings of her. You've got this dead body, that's calling out to her from the porch, and then all of a sudden she's alive in the next one, and then on the third page, you get the most stark contrast, and that's Jean walking down the road, fire burning the environment around her, unaware of this situation as a boy rides into the actual flames, bursting spontaneously, until she turns around to talk to him, and then he's fine, and then the rest of the world is burning. This is the intensity, the insanity of what's going on in Phoenix Resurrection. Of course, we have to jump back out to the New Mexico area where this real giant shell is located, this door that's just opened, and Beast and everyone that's there, Kitty, they're all going through what could possibly happen, and of course somebody has to go in, and who better than Old Man Logan? This is, what's going to really hurt him, and they walk into that fiery hellscape that Jean just can't seem to perceive. And we make our way through this. They're fighting against all these dead X-Men, the people that they have loved and cared for that are no longer with them, and it becomes a situation where these are anomalies, these are manifestations of the actual Phoenix itself, which leads them to a battle, a conflict, and you just see, you've got Jamie Madrox, the multiple man who's taking on Colossus. You've got a lot of different stuff that's going on, and it's all in their heads. It's all a manifestation of this otherworldly cosmic entity that is looking to really secure its host once more. But it's when they get to Annie's Diner, which has been, Jean's place of employment inside this really odd landscape, that's when they see exactly how different and difficult this is going to be, because it is almost pristine in nature. And she comes out into the fire-breathing world and, to put the trash out, and all she can see are the houses on the other side of the street. She can't see the other X-Men. She's just putting the trash in the trash can. And this is what the Phoenix is doing. It has to be doing something to Jean herself, and it must be for a reason. But that's when we start to see, this other person in here. It's one of those things where Annie is the embodiment. She's the vehicle through which the Phoenix Force is speaking to Jean, trying to prime these things, talking about Mr. Howlett and going to fix her car, and all this other kind of stuff, wondering what it could really be. It's like, it feels like it was trying to prepare me for something. It's like, oh, that sounds lovely. It's definitely enticing. It's starting the process of priming her for receiving the Phoenix power. And this kind of goes along with what Hank McCoy says. Even though we get that insinuation the previous page, Hank really goes into detail and fleshes that out for the reader, if in case you didn't quite pick that up. And then you've got these flashes in between what's happening. You see the intention, you see Jean's reaction, you see the intention, you see the people out back. So there's all this kind of conflict that's going to be happening, and what's going to really set things off? Well, they've got to get Jean out of here somewhere. They've got to do this before the Phoenix Force embodies her, takes over her body and becomes present inside the world once more and starts wreaking havoc on the world and the cosmos in general. But how are they going to do that with this giant Phoenix Firebird perched atop Annie's Diner, protecting the conversation going on inside? Well, I think there's only really one man for the job, and it looks like it's going to be Scott Summers, young Scott Summers, that's Cyclops. But in reality, it's Old Man Logan. It's the man that loved Jean at one point in time and still probably loves her a little bit anyway. And when we conclude this book, we see the old Wolverine facing down this ominous-looking Firebird as he tries to walk into the diner and free a woman that he once loved and a friend at the least. So I am really excited about this. First off, the first 3 pages of this are sinister, they're innocent, they're spectacle, they're a world on fire, and the twisted mental nature of this is just fantastic. I love everything about him and everything that's going on in this book, and it makes Phoenix Resurrection one of the most entertaining X-books I've read in a long time. It's not even an X-Men book, but this is a story that I am really enjoying. I am dead set on this being a fantastic outing, and I can't wait to see where Phoenix 5 takes us. I mean, Matthew Rosenberg gets the highest praise from me. If you haven't read his Kingpin books, read them. You know, they're the best part of Civil War II. The Kingpin mini that he did was fantastic. His private, his independent books, like 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank, I've been seeing the praises of those books for ages, and this is just another showcase that he is creating magic when it comes to writing comics. He's got a great voice, and he tells great stories. And then the art, because it's been changing, it's always got a consistency, but it always feels different. And this is no exception, because when you're talking about this world on fire, the visualization, the actual representation, the rendering of that world is great as well. I'm a really big fan of Phoenix Resurrection. Issue number 4 is particularly strong, and I think that everybody should be out reading this thing if they aren't already. But I want to know what you guys think too, so hit me in the comments down below, and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything having to do with the world of comics.